Citizen U presents UFO, where you find out.
We're the two teachers, and today you're going to find out about the courts.
Andy, courts, it's madness. Of course, we're talking the Supreme Court.
Anytime you have an opening in your court bracket, whether it be a judicial vacancy or what case are we going to hear, it's madness, the process that it takes to get onto the Supreme Court or to be heard by the Supreme Court.
Andy, I know that a lot of people over the years have called the Supreme Court the least dangerous branch. But in your bracket, the Supreme Court is a number one seed. They play a number one role in determining not only what our law means, but increasingly making policy.
Well, when the NCAA tournament used to start then, no one watched it. It was an event that no one watched. But increasingly, like our court decisions, they get a lot of public attention, and the process to be heard by the court or to get your appointment onto the court ever more public.
Andy, we know that our Supreme Court team is made up of 9 players, but it's really that starting 5, the 5 that make a majority opinion that determine the outcomes. And most of those outcomes, Andy, last year were 9-0 scores.
Well, 9-0 scores, but it's those 5-4 decisions when you have a very competitive, close match that tend, whether it be about abortion or gerrymandering or about gay rights, those get tons of public attention.
Let's not forget that the Supreme Court does have a limited schedule. There are thousands and thousands of people who each year appeal to play with the Supreme Court, but in the end they only hear or they only play about 80 games.
Remember, out of those hundreds of college teams, only 60-some actually make the bracket. And very much like the Supreme Court, they get thousands of appeals, but it takes 4 justices to agree to hear your case, to put it on the bracket, but they call it the docket. And of those thousands of cases, only about 80 get heard.
Andy, let's take a little look at the scouting report for this year's Supreme Court. According to the RPI index and according to the scouts, it looks like the majority of our Supreme Court tends to go to the right more than they go to the left. So if you're going to play defense, anticipate a right move. Andy, we're talking about courts. This is UFO, where you find out. We're the two teachers.
And we're talking about the courts this week.
No fancy words.
No fancy suits.
Plain talk about issues you need to know.
Just in time.